Maybe I'm gonna switch sides.
Hi, you will not. Hi, welcome. This
Hi.
is Stay Mentally Dope, everything at the intersection of Black culture and mental health. We are two therapists, real life, actually, in real life
Mm-hmm.
therapists, talking to you today about J.Cole's 1985 and how that connects to mentorship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, does it?
Or does it?
Yes.
Is that even what we're doing?
Yeah. So, if you guys have never heard the song, you should definitely hear it. It's a great song. I mean, y'all also know that we love J. Cole.
But I also
So
know if you hear, you also probably love J.Cole too.
yes.
So
So maybe they love
maybe
us.
not, maybe
I
not,
don't
but
know.
the people they love Jermaine.
Yes. Jermaine. So I love the way this sounds on his new song, but anywho. So if you've heard the song 1985, it is a song that could be about mentorship, which is like what we're going to be discussing. It also could be a bit of a clapback for potentially a artist who apparently made some comments about J. Cole. And J. Cole heard the comments and therefore he offered this song. So he offered advice maybe, he offered mentorship, and then he offered also called the person out. So I
I
mean,
mean,
let's jump into it. Let's talk about it.
maybe it counts as a diss track, whatever. I'll
Yeah.
I'll take it. But it's just for us, like everything we do, we start the conversation one way and branch it off into a bigger conversation.
Yeah. Yeah.
So mentorship.
Yeah. So Jasmine, like, tell us, what is mentorship? Like, what is like your definition of like what mentorship is?
What I believe mentorship is like a relationship between two people that ideally, if done well and done right, is mutually agreed upon for someone like a specific area or maybe multiple areas to grow in, right? Like that could be personally, that could be professionally, career wise, that could be like psychologically, like anything in specific. It doesn't matter what the thing is, but essentially one person has more knowledge and experience than another person, and they agree to kind of get together and help the person who has a less amount of knowledge and experience grow.
Okay. Yeah. How do you feel like that mentorship is potentially different in the Black community or like with Black folks?
I got a lot of opinions, but I think because us as Black people, we do our communities look different because of the thing that is, I think we call it slavery, and how everything goes back to it.
We call it slavery.
We call it slavery, and how everything goes back to it is essentially like our communities don't look as whole as they could. They don't look as congruent as they need to. And so we have a practice of building connections, right?
Hmm.
And so we might got some play cousins, some
Hmm.
play sisters. We might have the lady down the street who like comes over sometimes and make sure I have what I need, or that's auntie, that's uncle who are not related to you necessarily. But I think through those relationships we have mentorship,
Hmm.
and sometimes those things happen on purpose. And I think sometimes they don't. They're
Yeah.
not necessarily
Yeah.
purposeful. I think part of it is you just care for the people in your community, and sometimes they grow into full blown like mentorship, and possibly this person is a part of my family. Like I'm
Yeah.
sure you can think about people who are. I have people that come to my family reunions and be like, "Who is that?" And I'd be like, "That's the family friend."
Hmm.
They've been in the family longer than some people in the family, and they're
Yeah.
not family.
Yeah. So there's also like the level though of if someone comes to you and says like, hey, I want to help you out with this,
Mm-hmm.
or like you're doing something that either I've did before or something that I believe in,
Mm-hmm.
because I feel like that sometimes happens in different communities as well too.
I
That
know.
the,
Why are you saying it like that? What's the
that
problem?
that the mentor has never even did what they're mentoring you in.
Oh, okay, that's what you mean.
I mean, I think like sometimes we see like the neighborhood ball star or like the neighborhood rapper. The person who's mentoring them has never been an actual successful rapper
Mm-hmm.
or an actual successful ball player,
Mm-hmm.
but they're the ones mentoring them. And sometimes like that can go like really really well,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes that can go where you're being led astray by someone who probably shouldn't be mentoring you. But
Mm-hmm.
like
Yeah,
that's still level.
yeah. We have to kind of vet those things and also figure out what it is we want and what we're looking for. Because
Yeah.
I think usually there's an age dynamic there,
Mm-hmm.
right? Usually the person with the wisdom and the experience is older.
Uh-huh.
Not all the time. Like it could be, peer to peer, but they're older, and then everybody has to be aware of how that affects people.
Yeah, I think that you also brought up a good point too of like there has to be an agreement because like sometimes there is a level
I
of
think for it to work well, there
yes.
should be an agreement. I think people do it all the time without an agreement, and it could go well or it maybe not.
Because I
But
mean, I think that there's moments too of like when someone's like, "Hey, let me put you up on game.
hmm
I've been doing this, or I know how to do this. Let me put you up on game for this to go well." So whether or not that's with jobs, with relationships, like oh, dude, acting up. Let me show you
hmm
how to act this way.
yeah,
Like things
yes,
of that nature. So I think that like mentorship can be like so broad in so
hmm
many different areas, but like how it actually looks and what the definition could be.
yeah. I think that's a good point. I think church culture does this
Mm-hmm.
more intentionally than just in general, like black people. Like black church culture, you're gonna have a mentor. You're gonna have somebody who's in your business asking you questions, trying to help build you up for
Yeah,
sure.
which is once again sometimes that can be an amazing thing, and
And it can be
sometimes
very difficult.
yeah, the hard things too of like are we on the same page? Do we
Yeah.
believe the same thing? Do we have the same goals? Of
hmm
all those things of that
But that's
nature.
my question. What has been your experience with mentorship in either direction, good or bad? Because I want to say that I've had both.
Yeah, I think I've definitely had both. I've definitely had people um as like a married person, I respect mentorship in
hmm
that area. Like any area that I know that I'm coming up in. So whether it's my career, whether or not it's with friendships, whether or not it's in dating relationships.
Everything, isn't it?
Yeah,
Though.
when I know someone who is like doing better in this area or has been in this area for a long time,
hmm
yeah, I have questions. I would love for you to mentor me. And but there are those moments sometimes where I'm like, oh, that's not the mentorship that I want.
Yeah.
Sometimes it is,
hmm
and sometimes there's moments where it's like, no, that's not what I needed. That's
Yeah.
not that's not effective.
Mm.
So question though, what is the difference in between criticism and guidance in mentorship?
Mm.
So like that. So if I am giving you information that may not be the best, or if I'm tearing you down in the process.
hmm But this is why I say we need an agreement for people for things to be mutual.
Mm-hmm,
Because I think if you both agree that this is a mentor relationship, it would be easier to take advice from that person about that, right? Like
mm-hmm.
you know that because y'all have agreed on this certain thing, when they're giving you that advice, it's because you've asked for it and they want to make you better,
Yeah,
right? That's the
yeah,
agreement.
yeah.
So if they are being critical or their advice feels critical,
Mm-hmm.
you take it less as that because you already know we have the same interest in mind.
Yeah, but that also brings up a
But
good point too
mhm,
of having criticism or having guidance where there's not a relationship. And I think about that in any situation. That people can be critical of people who they don't have a good relationship
but not
with.
a solid enough relationship. I think
Yes.
people forget that you have to spend time building, like therapists do. We spend a lot of time building rapport so that I can say, "Do you see that? That don't feel really good. That's not really cute, or that's not what you said it was."
Yeah.
Because if you don't have the relationship, it's gonna be like, "Who are you?
Yeah.
Why are you talking to me? I didn't ask you for nothing. I don't
Yeah.
care how old you are."
Yeah.
And I don't care who you are to me, or I don't care if you my mama somebody something, and I'm supposed to respect you. Don't talk to
Yeah.
me.
So I think that there can be a different level of that too. That there can still be criticism or constructive criticism, but it's different when the relationship is established.
hmm
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think the relationship, I think also delivery is
Mm-hmm.
a big thing.
100%.
And I would say, so as we're talking about 1985 and J.Cole's, what we're going to call advice or even a diss track in it, he taking some slick shots, right? He
Mm-hmm.
is giving out legitimate advice and he's being like, y'all don't know what y'all doing.
So which actually brings you to like
He's being petty.
so taking on the next question. In the song, do you feel like that J. Cole is genuinely mentoring or is he subtly judging? And to me personally, I think it's both. I think that he's giving advice. He is telling him, like, hey, the best way for you to get money is actually like a going on tour. Hey, I think that before you buy this car, you should probably buy a house.
hmm
I think that he's saying like different things about like, hey, for
But the
me,
way you're saying it sounds very nice and altruistic.
understood, but there is like still like hints of like where the advice is of like, hey, for me, I feel like that I'm gonna last longer in the game because I actually have a skill set. You should probably figure out a skill set before you go out here and doing these things,
But that's what
which
I'm saying.
could be advice.
No, it
But
is advice, but it's shady. But it again, like it's not necessarily about the song. But again, if you don't have a relationship with that person, you're not going to hear it that way.
yeah,
You're going to be like, "Oh, he's shading me.
which is
This is a
also like I'm
problem."
like we said, this came about because
Mm-hmm.
like I'm responding to whatever you said about me. So
Yeah.
like, yeah, there definitely is like a level of
Mm-hmm.
shade.
But I have been in mentor relationships where the criticism comes like that,
Yeah.
right? The person says, essentially, I have this relationship and I can say whatever I want to, however I want.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say that's not the same thing as mentorship, right?
100%. 100%.
Because I think, especially in the Black community, right, a lot of mentorship relationships work out until somebody starts to say stuff that the other person is not ready for or is out of line. Like, hey, I asked you to focus on this, and you talking about this and this and that and that.
Mm-hmm.
They got nothing to do with what we doing over here,
Yeah.
right? I'm focused on money. You talking about my baby mama? What are we doing here?
Yeah.
And so I think that's part of it. And I know that we talked about this a lot when we talked about the Tyra documentary,
Mm-hmm.
but there is this thing for,
Shout out to our video on work trauma and America's Next Top Model.
yeah, we did that recently. Go back and look. We talked about the Tyra documentary and just work trauma in general. That the generation that struggled and fought hard to get something, they don't always. Sometimes they show up with resentment about the process because they haven't worked on their stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and they
Mm-hmm.
take that out on the younger people. Because honestly, me and Charmaine talk about this a lot, truly. Because as supervisors, we have one of our roles is to mentor people.
Yeah.
And partially, it is very hard for me, speaking for myself, to bridge that gap in between, dang, this is the way I did it. And this is just the way it looks, and you need to get yourself together.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, professionalism is professionalism, and that's just the way it is, and whatever. And having empathy for the person in front of me who is actually in a different situation than me.
Yeah.
They're in their career in a different time, in a different
Mm-hmm.
spot. But I feel like that's hard for mentors because it requires self-work.
No,
And
100%.
it's hard for mentees because that also requires self-work. Some
Yes.
people don't want to hear nothing I got to say.
Mm-hmm.
And we got a good relationship.
Yeah, which actually, so next question. Have you ever received advice that
But I
you were
want you
not
to speak to that
I
too.
did.
Okay. I
Okay.
thought they had more.
Have you ever received advice that you were not ready to hear at the time, and what made it hard to accept? So not even just like when you're giving it to someone else, but
Mhm.
when you're on the receiving end.
Mhm.
And I can definitely say that for me, yeah, 100%. There has been times where I feel like it's always worse when you think that you know what you're doing, or like, when you know what you're saying. I have had my moments where I am standing on this hill. I said what I said, and then someone comes to me and they're like, "That was wrong," and I'm like, "Okay."
And I'm hearing it and I'm taking it in.
Yes.
And I will do better.
Yes, but in the moment, I'm just like, I just really told you. There's something about, and I remember, like the Kevin Hart moment in one of his stand-ups when he's talking about, like, his wife going off and being wrong, and he's like, you can always tell when the man looks at her and he's like, "Are you done?" That he's fixing to like chop up whatever you just said. And yes, me and my husband have those moments where I am going in and I know what I said and I said what I said, and he's just like, "So all of that was wrong, that, right?" And that's just like, okay. Or like when someone's like, so like, that you actually struggle in that area, right? And I'm like, okay. So that is something that I struggle with. This is a problem for me sometimes. Okay. So that to me is when it's probably the hardest to accept the criticism, the being calling out, the advice. It's just like when I feel like that I'm in one of those I think I know moments, and then to kind of be like, you really don't know. And that to me is probably when it's harder. And then of course also when it comes from somebody that I don't want to hear from. That's just honest. I don't want to hear from you.
And also, how many times are we in situations with people and they're over you, and so they have a right to give feedback about what you're doing, and you don't like them? Because if I feel that way, I'm not taking anything you have to say. Honestly, it's going to be hard for me to take what you have to say, because if I don't like you, or I get the feeling that you don't like me, how do I know where this is coming from? How do I know this? You even mean this, or you're not being mean or going out of your way or seeing me in a light that I don't see myself.
Yeah, which I think also brings up another point of like, when is it easier? And I think that for me, like kind of like what you were saying earlier, it's easier when that relationship is established, when that trust is established, and I feel like it's genuine. I feel like that because that has been established between me and you,
Mm.
that if you looked at me right now and was like, Charmaine, that shirt is ugly,
Oh my God.
I would not be
That looks
offended
so
by
good.
that, because like in my mind, I'd be like, well, dang, like I trust your opinion.
Mhm.
I trust that you are not trying to hurt me.
Mhm.
I trust that you are not like internally being like, well, I don't want her to have it on because
Mhm.
I want it. Like,
Right.
I don't think any of those things. So I trust you enough that if you were like, Charmaine, you're really messing up at work,
Mhm.
I'm probably really messing up at work.
Yeah.
And I respect that.
And that's part of it. And I also think you're secure enough in what you feel and what you wear, what you got on today, that even if I said that, it's not going to like take you to a place that you're going to spiral out, right?
No,
Like,
yeah.
I think it's twofold. Some truths I'm not ready to hear, and it don't matter how nice you put it.
Yes, understood.
And I'm talking about me, and I'm talking about for other people. It don't matter how nice you like. Sometimes the truth, I'm not ready for that, and I'm rejecting it no matter what.
Yeah.
And they'd be like, "Oh, what about this?" And I'd be like, "No, no, no, no. That's not a problem I have to worry about."
Mm-hmm.
Like,
But I do think that there's also a level of too of, like you said, how you say it and what you offer it with me. If we're talking about mentorship and we're talking about friendship, even if there is a hard truth, I think that as your mentor, as your friend, I'm offering something with that. So I would never come to you and be like, Jasmine, you probably should never be in this field. What I'm going to say to you is I need to assist you because right
Mhm.
now you're struggling.
Mhm.
So yeah, the truth may be
but it
that
comes
you're
in the
doing
back end
bad
with
in this
support.
moment. Yeah, but I'm also adding on support of that wasn't the best. You should never do
Mhm.
television again. I'm like, no, like how can we like work on like the areas that you struggled in so that like we can actually like build you back up for what it is that you want to do.
But I think that's a good point. I think that is the difference between just mentorship and maybe good mentorship,
Okay.
is that I see this flaw that you have or this deficit that you have. Let me support you in helping you like improve that, get better at that.
Yeah.
That makes a difference than just being like, stop that.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Yeah.
Because I feel like sometimes that's what people do because they don't have the skills. They're just like, you need to tighten up. We
Mhm.
can't do that.
Yeah.
And the person is just like, I don't know how. Like, that's what
Yeah.
I'm here for. Help
Which
me out.
I get that. And I've been in many situations where I've honestly and truthfully don't understand. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I don't understand how to fix something. And someone's just like, oh, that's not working. And I'm like, okay, well
That's
then,
not helpful.
yeah, tell me how to work it. Like, tell me like what
What
to
now?
do. Like, yeah, if you see me walking out and my clothes don't match, baby, help me. Don't just like
Don't
judge
just
me
criticize
and be
me. Yeah.
like, that didn't go together. Well, tell me what does.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So there's a component to that. And then also, like we're saying, how do you know the difference? I think it's hard, but it's also like being ready for that. Also knowing like if you ask someone to be a mentor in your life, you have to allow them to speak into your life. That
Yeah.
is the job. That's the role that was placed there. You have to let them, because some people will be like, yeah, I want you to be a mentor, and then you tell them something they don't like, and they'd be like, how dare you talk to me like that? But this is what you asked for.
100%.
You came to me and said you wanted something different. I'm telling you, this is how we get to something different.
Yeah.
It's a process, y'all.
Okay.
It is a process. So, like, please tell us if you can in the comments, like your experiences with mentorship and how that's different. I can tell you being mentored under a Black woman, because I'm a Black woman, is a different experience than being mentored under a white woman or a white man. Is very different, in my opinion. That's been my experience too.
So why do you think that sometimes people react defensively instead of reflectively? I think that we kind of sort of identified that. Like it's like
they're not ready. It's
yeah.
really touchy. It's really, really personal. And what I like to remind people is that if someone is acting in a way that is defensive, the way we are supposed to use the word defensive, I'll say that. And protective, that means like there's something squishy and soft in there that they're trying to protect.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so if that helps you wrap your mind around it, it helps you like gain more empathy for that person. What's soft and squishy in there that they're trying to protect?
Oh no, 100%. That is like normally the hard part, that you called out or said something that maybe I don't want to deal with,
Mm-hmm.
or it's
my deepest insecurity, and now you brought it up.
Yeah, 100%. So what role does self-awareness play in how we process being called out?
If I can speak for myself,
Mm-hmm.
I would say self-awareness for me sometimes is slow. I need time. I think self-awareness is vital, Like, I don't think you can do this without self-awareness. And that also is the role of like a mentor and or a therapist, right? Like, you get vision about one of my deficits that I cannot have vision about,
Yeah.
because I can't see the back of my head, but you can see the back of my head.
Yes.
You
Or
know what I'm
I'm
saying?
coming to you with something that I am self-aware that I struggle in this
Mhm.
area,
Either
which
either
is
one.
also the hard part too. I like we had this talk yesterday though about like if someone comes to you and says, "Hey, I struggle in this area," and then you see them behave in that area and you call it out, and
Mhm.
they're like, "That's not what I was doing," or like, no, that's not what's happening here." It's like you actually are doing the thing that you told me that you struggle with. So
Mhm.
as your mentor or as your supporter, I should be able to be like, "Hey, you're doing it again," without you getting defensive,
Yeah.
especially if you're already aware of it and you ask for help in it.
Mhm.
But I think that sometimes people don't like, those like in the moment moments.
Yeah. And for me, if I'm in that situation and something is touchy, I need more time,
Yeah.
right? For sometimes, and I feel like we're using mentorship and we're also talking about therapy, because I think there is a level of therapy that is a little bit of mentorship,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, that's one of the roles as a therapist. In that, sometimes when you bring something up that someone's not ready for, it's okay to back up and be like, okay, I get it. We're not ready for that. We're not there yet. What are some other things we can work on while we are on the way to getting there?
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. So when does ignoring outside opinions become healthy versus avoidance? Because I thought that you brought up a good point though, that sometimes there are people's opinions, whether it is the person who's just being mean or it is the person who is just like criticizing without support. Sometimes we do need to ignore those.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But then there also is the level of turning into you can't tell me nothing and I don't listen to nobody. I am who I am. You're gonna take it or leave it, and nobody can tell me nothing about who I am. Which clearly does not seem healthy from the look on your face.
I mean, I don't know about necessarily labeling things healthy and unhealthy,
Uh-huh.
but I think it's a harder way in, right? If some person is being like, this is too much, this is too hard, you're poking at stuff that I don't want to be poked at, right? Like, we need some space. We need to back up. Maybe that's not reevaluating the whole relationship, but maybe the how we
Yeah.
get there,
Yeah.
right? Instead of taking the bus, we need to take like a really slow train to get
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. Yeah, 100% identifying that. So identifying like, how that works and how it actually works for other people. Because sometimes your approach may not be the approach that other people need. So also recognizing that too, of like maybe my approach isn't the approach for you. That doesn't mean that you're being avoidant. I think that some people will say that, oh, well, like you don't want to hear nothing. It's like, no, maybe I don't want to hear it from you. And I don't want to hear it with that kind of approach.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not always being avoidant. I just need somebody else who's going to come at me a little bit differently.
Yeah, you need different style, right? Like, that's also the reason why I think mentorship relationships don't always work out, because one person's style is not another person's style.
Yeah.
And sometimes a mentor is not able to switch that around.
Yeah.
Like, they just be like, this is who I am. This is what
Yeah.
we're doing. And so it either works or it doesn't work. Figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
And people learn differently. People
Yeah.
receive information differently.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that like bringing that back to the song, we see that in different aspects that he does drop areas of advice, and then it's also like your rap name sucks.
Mhm.
Like that's what it's like. No, it's like those things as well too. Of like, can I receive your advice when it's also attached
Mhm.
to a tone or some words that are also hurtful?
Yeah. But now that we're talking about this, I feel like this mentorship is just really hard to do,
Sometimes it is.
because there are times when I have negative opinions about what somebody is doing,
Mhm.
right? Like, I'm like, what you're doing is stupid.
Mhm.
You should not be doing this.
Yeah.
This actually goes to the opposite of what you said you wanted.
Uh-huh.
But my goal is to not ever say that. Not say that like that.
100%. 100%.
Because that's going to obviously turn the person off.
Mhm.
And so I have to like manage
shut them down.
myself.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Manage myself in how I give my feedback to them. But that takes work. Because sometimes I'll be
100%.
like, girl, what is you doing? And why is you doing it?
Yeah.
And that's not helpful all
No,
the time.
100%.
That's not helpful to me.
So
Why would
what's
it be helpful
harder
to
for
someone
you,
else?
giving honest feedback or receiving it?
I think it depends on what the feedback is and whom.
Yeah.
I think it's both.
Yes,
Sometimes
100%. I think it's both.
giving hard, even if I have the relationship, sometimes it can be hard because sometimes it's a hard truth.
Yeah.
This is a weird thing to say, but I think as therapists, we all have issues saying certain things to certain clients and certain people.
Mhm.
One biggest thing that I see with new therapists and old therapist is hygiene issues. We have a hard time talking to clients about hygiene issues
I
because it
don't
is
have
so
a problem
personal.
unless it's actually happening. That's the hard part.
What do you mean? Why are we talking about it if it's not
Well,
happening?
because I mean, like working with like teens and stuff like that, I would love having those talks in advance of like, hey,
Oh
girl,
no, I'm not
this
talking
is
about in
how.
advance. I'm talking about somebody shows up with a hygiene issue
Okay, yeah,
and you become aware of it. Maybe they're not aware of it, or they're having issues in an area of their life and you are connecting the dots that they're having this hygiene issue and
okay,
that's
okay,
connected there.
yeah,
I
understood.
don't know any therapist that has a good time with that.
Yeah,
And so even if I have a good relationship with that person, I still am like,
I get that.
I don't want to have this
There are certain things
conversation.
that feel like that they're going to be sticky regardless, even if you're
Hmm.
close to somebody or not. That makes sense.
Yes. So like it depends. And also sometimes I wouldn't want to be on the receiving end of a harder conversation
That
like
as
that
well.
too. Even if we have a good relationship, for multiple reasons. We can dive that, go into the rabbit hole. But I think it's touchy either way. It depends on if the subject matter is super touchy.
Uh huh.
That's one. I think it, like we talked about, it depends on the relationship. But I don't know. I think equally I can have a hard time.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you?
I think it's both. Yeah, both for me too. I think that there are certain things that I don't like having to discuss. There are certain subjects that are like really, really hard to discuss when it comes to stuff like that. And then there are times where I don't want to receive feedback, and there's also feedback that I wish that I didn't have to receive. I feel like that most times I'm always better for it after the fact. But in the moment, sometimes, yeah, it's that hard moment of like, oh, okay,
Hmm.
yeah.
But can I also say, on the
Hmm.
flip side, there are situations in where I was just like, I wish somebody would told me that.
Yes,
Like
that's
maybe
why
it
I
was a
said,
hard conversation, but
yeah.
I was like, why y'all ain't never said
Yes,
nothing?
so
I
so
couldn't do anything about
that's
it.
the hard part too of like I don't always want to receive it, but I do feel better for it after the fact because if I didn't know I was hurting your feelings and you never told me, or I didn't know I was musty every day and you did not tell
That's
me,
what I'm
I
saying.
did
How?
not know that I've been walking around this entire time with a hole in the booty cheek. Like come on now, like give me some advice, or if I'm the one who's walking around and my pantyhose don't match or something like that, like I'm just every single day and like nobody
And it
told me.
don't match.
Listen, I've been there
Don't
before.
match.
Um,
But listen, you got a makeup line and your makeup look different,
yes.
and you be like, y'all ain't said nothing.
And
Y'all
I've
should be
been
over here
wearing this
struggling,
same shade for the whole for months, and
doubling
nobody
down
ever
on it, baby. I
and
got a new
nobody
bottle.
said something.
I got a new
I thought mine
bottle.
was cute, or I bought perfume, and y'all was like, "Man, she stank," and nobody said nothing. Like, yeah, so like, yeah, it's not always good to hear, but like after it, most times, sometimes it may not always be, but most times I feel better for it after the fact.
But then the takeaway. I mean, I don't know. One of the takeaways really needs to be. I think you should say it.
Yeah, but say it like we said, say
Season it with some salt, baby.
yes.
Don't
Figure
don't
out your
don't let it be a
tone,
shot.
figure out how you're saying it, and also make sure that you have a relationship with the person that you're
Yes.
advising. I don't care if the person that I don't like if I don't know you, I'm not coming up to you correcting you like that. That's not my place.
Mm-hmm.
Now I
Mm-hmm.
will assist you if it's like something small.
Right.
None of your friends told you that there was tissue on your shoe. I'm gonna tell you that there's tissue on your shoe.
Yes.
But
Well,
like
I mean, we love the girlies
yes,
who will see somebody in public and be like, "Girl, something's going on. Can you fix it?" We
yes.
love
Oh,
that.
girl, you got a twist right
Right.
there. I'm gonna do this while you're standing right there, and I'm gonna undo it and keep
Bless
on
you,
going.
queen.
Yes,
Bless you, queen. But
yes.
that's
Stuff
not the
like
same
that
as
as
like
being like,
a deeper issue of just
yes,
like
understood.
I think you have a jealousy problem. I
Yeah,
think something's wrong with this, and then you need a relationship with someone before
yeah.
you say something like that.
100%. So there has to be a balance in between how we can stay true to ourselves, being aware of how we're receiving feedback and who we're receiving it from, but then also still being open to correction. It was a deep conversation, a lot of stuff, y'all. What would you say were some of like your key takeaways or gems from this song when you were like listening to it?
Oh, from the song?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know. Sometimes feedback is not wrapped in a package that you necessarily like,
Yeah.
and that it looks cute. And I think, you know, we can trust ourselves enough a lot of times, maybe not 100% of the time, but a lot of times to take what we need and leave the rest,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because
100%.
you can get feedback from someone that is wrong. They don't have the relationship, all this stuff. And sometimes people are not wrong.
Mm-hmm.
They just might be wrong in the way they said it.
Yeah.
They may be wrong in the timing in which they said it, but they may not be wrong. And so, like, the rest is yours. You go and do the work and take a bite out of it and see
Mm-hmm.
if it fits.
I think that I took away from it that there is sometimes there can be so much value in finding someone who has succeeded in what it is that you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, still taking certain things and leaving the rest. But there is value in having someone who has already succeeded in this area be like, hey, there's like a diagram of of how I would do this that I want to
Mm-hmm.
offer you as support so that you don't mess up. Because I do feel like in the song, like he says, I did a lot of the same stuff that you're doing right now. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
So like, there is a part of me like that's like, who am I to give you advice? But I do feel like that I am successful right now, so I can give you advice. And there is that level of sometimes finding someone who is doing well to be like, hey, I'm coming into this. Like, how do you assist?
Mm-hmm. But I think that's also a facet of mentorship we also need to think about, that you don't always have to just be mentored by the people who only did what you want to do perfectly or well.
Yeah.
A really big piece of mentorship too is someone who is like failed,
Yes.
who's not done things well, right? Who's had all of this experience, but experience comes with failure.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's also really important to learn from what people did wrong or
Yeah.
what they didn't do, right? That can still be a really good teacher for us too.
Yeah.
So,
Agreed.
yeah,
Agreed.
diversify your mentorship.
Okay, so guys, I hope that you love this song, love J. Cole the way that we love this song and love J. Cole, and also that you enjoyed this conversation. We would love to know what else, like you guys think about mentorship, how mentorship looks
Mhm.
different in different situations, how it shows up, and as always, we asked you guys, we very humbly asked you guys to like, subscribe, follow us, and share this information with a friend. Tell a friend and tell a friend. As always, we're out here trying to stay mentally
Mentally
dope.
dope, y'all. Bye. Uh-oh.
I never